With Mesut Ozil finally looking like he's going to be leaving Arsenal, there may be a bit of a creative void in the squad. Certainly without him on the pitch, the Gunners have struggled at times. So here are 5 potential creative replacements for Mesut Ozil. First off, you're probably thinking, why does Ozil need to be replaced? Well, because since he's been out of the squad, Arsenal haven't been that good creatively or attacking-wise, so that's why. First off on the list is Julian Brandt. There has been so much talk that he is going to be leaving Dortmund, and well, the chief executive said that they aren't ruling anything out at the moment. With 22 appearances this season, most of them being from the bench, Brandt just can't get a consistent run in the team. This may have been due to former manager Lucien Favre switching things about. There's obviously a load of young players who are coming into the side, and the thing is with Dortmund is that in this attacking midfield area, they just have such an abundance of quality, it's difficult for Brandt to get into the squad, and then once he's done that, hold down a place consistently in the starting 11. It also doesn't help that Borussia Dortmund haven't themselves been so consistent this season. The thing is though, there are quite a few players in football and coaches who definitely are very, very aware of Brandt's ability. One of them is his former teammate at Leverkusen, Kai Havertz. The now Chelsea player has spoken about how good he thinks Brandt is, and who knows, maybe he'll be tempted to follow him to the Premier League. Second on the list, and one that would make him hated, absolutely hated by all of Spurs fans, and it was Christian Eriksen. Can you imagine him moving back to North London, but to the red half? Well, it's a possibility. Certainly, it's a possibility, more like a probability, that he'll be leaving Inter Milan. Just 1 year after swapping North London for the San Siro, things haven't really gone as planned. He just did not fit into Antonio Conte's plans, and although he only signed for around 20 million euros, they're probably not even going to get that back once they sell him in January. Of course, Eriksen has a load of suitors. All the clubs saw what he did in the Premier League, so he'd more than likely be accepted back there by so many clubs, and maybe Arsenal could actually do with him. Sometimes they're in need of a game changer, someone who can create loads of chances and pop up with more than just the occasional assist or goal. In fact, since Christian Eriksen joined the league, he only really competed with Mesut Ozil in the last 7 years or whatever it was for the top assister and top goal scorer from that midfield position. Both of them were stunning, neither of them are Arsenal, and it looks like Eriksen's got more chance of playing in an Arsenal shirt than Ozil does ever again. Moving on to number 3, and someone who's also, much like Ozil, been on the periphery of his team for quite some time now, and that's Julian Draxler at PSG. It's obviously very difficult to burst into a team full of superstars when you've got the likes of Di Maria, Neymar, Kylian Mbappe ahead of you, but even so, Draxler has had a pretty poor time of it in the French capital. Over the summer, he himself admitted that he was looking into the possibility of leaving the club, but due to COVID and the fact that not many teams were able to not only afford a transfer fee, but also afford his wages on top of this, it wasn't really possible. Now with Mauricio Pochettino in charge, it still looks like there's no way back into the fold for Draxler. Certainly, there's nothing more than the squad player. So maybe he could take a step down from PSG, put all his abilities into Arsenal. The thing is, he'd be a big fish at Arsenal. Not the biggest fish, but certainly would be one hell of a creative attacking player, and maybe the best technically that they'll have on the ball. Arsenal don't necessarily always play with a creative number 10 role, but certainly Draxler drifting in off either wing or even playing as the more attacking of a midfield 3 could really prove a good and wise signing for Mikel Arteta's men. So moving from someone at PSG at almost the height of European football to someone at the height of the Championship, that is Emi Buendia. Now, for those of you Premier League fans, you would have seen what he did last year at Norwich. He was brilliant in a team which, in all honesty, was utterly shocking. Now they've gone back down to the Championship. He's doing very, very well, as you'd expect, so much so that the rumours still persist about him moving to Arsenal. He admitted in a recent interview that there were talks in the summer about him leaving, but again, like we found out with Julian Draxler and a few other transfers, clubs just could not stump up the money, so much so that Norwich are now demanding 40 million for the attacking midfielder. 40 million for a championship player at the moment. I think he's Premier League quality, but at the moment he is a championship player. 40 million just seems obscene. Surely there's no way. I mean, if Norwich are really going to stand in his way, then eventually he's going to get pretty pissed off and he's going to want to move. We've seen what he can do in the Premier League last year, as I mentioned, in a poor side. So imagine when you put him around better players under Mikel Arteta at Arsenal in a young, vibrant team. I really think we could see the best of Buendia, and he could could be a very good signing moving forward. And number 5 on this list, if you don't want to sign any of those for Arsenal fans, or if you've got any others that you'd like to let me know in the comment section below, number 5 is sticking with what they've got in Emil Smith-Rowe. There have been so many times where a player has come through the Arsenal Academy, the Hell End Academy, which has been very famous over the years, but they just haven't quite made it. In fact, I'm trying to think of the last youth product who's really come through in the last decade or so that has really made an impact on the team. It's tough to think of one. At the moment, they've got a few good ones. Reece Nelson's obviously brilliant, but doesn't really get the game time. Bukayo Saka is definitely the jewel in Arsenal's academy crown. But aside from that, they make a few appearances and really fail to make the grade. But Emil Smith-Rowe looks like a different kettle of fish altogether. From not playing a single minute in the Premier League this season to having 3 starts in a week over Christmas, which coincided with Arsenal's turn in form and brilliant results, well, you guys do the maths. Very, very comfortable on the ball is Emil Smith-Rowe. He's very quick. There's 1-2 touch football. He pops up in all sorts of attacking areas and really could be the antidote to some of Arsenal's worries. Again, like I mentioned before, if they're not playing necessarily with a number 10, Smith-Rowe can fill in quite a few positions. And because he's so young, Arsenal have still got quite a few years where they can mould him into the kind of player they want, rather than bringing in someone who may be a little bit stuck in their ways or may struggle to adapt. For me personally, out of all these, I think Smith-Rowe's the best option. There's going to be no signing, obviously, because he's already at the club, which is definitely a massive problem in today's during the COVID pandemic and all the financial worries. He's Arsenal through and through. And I don't really think he's going to hold the club for ransom when it comes to a massive wage rise if he gets a new contract. And on top of this, he just looks like a really good player for the future. Him alongside with other youngsters, like I mentioned before, especially Bukayo Saka, could really be the hub of everything good at Arsenal for years to come. That's all from me though. Make sure you check everything else we've got going on OneFootball on screen now. And until next time, I will see you guys later.